Disclaimer: Starkrimson is a type of pear. Do not attempt to eat, taste, or lick this amplifier. This was a strange few weeks of listening for me. I actually had my subs pulled out of the system and just listened to 2-channel the entire time. I spent some time with the Buchart S400 Mark II, as well as my KLH Model 5s. I have subs that integrate well in 2-channel listening, a pair of Sumiko S.9s, but I was just really enjoying the amp. Essentially wire-to-wire, clean, transparent sound, uninterrupted by anything other than what it delivered to the speakers. Budget amps can be good, there's no denying that anymore. We've seen an increase in budget gear that actually does perform well. But certain amps can, without a doubt, bring the full potential out of your gear. One of the latest pushes in the audio industry is the rise of Class D amps. And I'm not knocking AB amps at all here. I enjoy them and actually daily in Audiolab 9000A. But Hypix and Purify have been making waves in the last few years and are widely publicized. But a boutique audio company named Orchard Audio is producing some really high quality gear, handcrafted in the United States, New Jersey specifically, and really should be on your radar. And not just for amps either. Orchard Audio produces a number of products. They have everything from standalone DACs to streamers, several different amps, as well as all the DIY offerings you would need to put one of these together. Orchard Audio is a creation of Leo Agenstadt. He started the company back in 2017 and has been coming out with high quality models utilizing new technology ever since. So what is Orchard Audio bringing to the table today? This is a Starkrimson Ultra version 2.0. It's a fully balanced input to output Class D amp, made in the USA, 500 watts at 4 ohms. Its case is no bigger than the V1. In fact, it looks exactly the same, but this one has some nice updates. We have a new power supply for one, the SMPS 1K2 USK. It was custom made to specifically work with Leo's design. It brings in a small cost increase, but it brings with it a number of key features that improve the product over version 1. For one, the Starkrimson will work anywhere in the world without worrying about your voltage. You no longer have to select voltage at checkout. Number 2, the new power supply is less noisy than the previously used Hypix 1200A. That alone is a big one, and I can tell you from my communication with Leo, he's really into the details. So if there was an improvement available, I have no doubt he went after it. He's just that type of guy. He even mentioned to me that his over-analytical thinking has been detrimental at times. Kind of perfect for this kind of work, really. The new power supply also allows more capacitance on the output. You can actually order this amp with 50% more than the V1, making this beast of an amp even more capable of driving difficult speakers. A couple other minor points of importance for this new power supply is that it benefits the DIY user. This one offers a simplified wiring assembly, and 2, it has a really low idle power coming in at under 0.2 watts. If we take a look here, we can see the original power supply on the left and the new replacement on the right. As you can see, it's a bit bigger, and we're starting to utilize a little more space inside the chassis. This first picture is the original design with the Hypix power supplies, and here's an example of the new power supplies with the additional cap upgrades. So what were the design objectives of this amp? When I asked Leo what the design goal for this amplifier was, he said it's the same for all of his products, to be as transparent as possible and get out of the way of the music. Leo said he follows Da Vinci's words, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." And by that he means his goal is extremely good objective results, which, might I add, he adds in detail on his site for his products, to a level that is rarely seen outside of third-party testing. Leo believes these objective measurements will translate into great subjective results, and I don't disagree here. This is something I like to hear. He wasn't aiming for colorization or anything like that. He wanted to deliver a pure sound using some of the best tech available to us today. And what is that tech? Well, it's primarily the use of gallium nitride. GaN transistors have better characteristics than their silicone counterparts. Increased slew rate, which is basically the rise time, the speed it reaches its maximum amplitude, faster switching speeds in silicone, which improves the overall efficiency. Higher switching frequencies can result in more control over the waveform, likely providing lower distortion and better transient response. So where's this tech going from here? When I asked Leo where he sees GaN technology going from here, he thought the technology will become more and more common as the price of GaN devices drop. Beyond the pricing and availability, Leo said he could see the switching frequency of amplifiers further increasing from what they are now, and dead time getting even smaller, improving bandwidth and amplifier performance. I agree, I do think this is going to become more popular in the coming years. I feel like two things that stick out is the speed and the top end. It's not harsh, it's clear. Class D has come a long ways. This amp provides a very full and dynamic sound, complete control over the speakers, fast tight bass, which is a common compliment that well-implemented Class D amps receive, and it's no exception here. And while I mention Class D and everyone starts thinking digital, this is an analog amp. The pulse depth modulation is performed completely in the analog domain, and then amplified by the GaN power stages. This is important to keep in mind before you go down the digital is bad rabbit hole. Starkrimson amplifiers use Leo's proprietary DC-coupled, fully balanced dual feedback modulator. This allows the amplifier to be completely balanced from input to output through the use of bridged GaN power stages. What I found when I researched some of the competition out there's definitely some others out there that are dipping into the GaN builds, but they're either cheaper alternatives with less power, and what I can gather reading through the technical specs, less capable, or extremely high-end models that nothing in the specs really jump out to me as to why they're asking what they are. Seems like in a lot of the cases, technologically, they're on the same page as the Starkrimson, just with really expensive and elaborate cases, which isn't uncommon in the hi-fi world. Just take a look at some of the extreme high-end speaker builds and you'll see what I mean. If you're looking at this amp and thinking you only have single-ended connections, Orchard Audio sells a separate RCA to XLR adapter that offers some advantages over single RCA to XLR cables. Basically, there are three ways to get from RCA unbalanced to XLR balanced. Number one, use an RCA to XLR adapter, as I mentioned, but you break the balanced input on your amplifier or preamp because half of the XLR input is shorted to the RCA shield. Depending on the design of the balanced input, this can have multiple undesirable effects. Number two, use a transformer-based RCA to XLR converter. This can work well as long as it is properly matched to both the RCA and XLR side impedances. However, even if it is properly matched, the transformer creates AC coupling, which causes bass phase shift. And number three, use an active converter. With a DC coupled active converter, all of the issues associated with the first two approaches are eliminated, and this is exactly what the Orchard RCA to XLR adapter does. I will link it in my description below if you're more interested in that. So this amp sounds really good. Not too big of a surprise, right? And it also comes at a bit of a cost. That comes with using new technology, but I want to lay something out that may make this a bit more affordable. You're likely thinking when you look at this that you'll need an amp, a preamp, a streamer at minimum. Well, in all reality, you can remove the cost of the preamp so as long as you don't need any of the analog inputs, and replace it with another Orchard Audio product that pairs fantastically with it. The Pecan PI Plus Streamer. The Pecan PI Plus is the newest revision of streamers Leo offers. He updated the DAC to the AKM flagship AK4499EX EQ combined with the AK4191 EQ. This is a new design that completely separates the digital and the analog circuitry. If I had to describe the sound I'm getting from the combination of the Pecan PI directly into the Starkrimson, it would be less warm than something like a Burr Brown, but more so than many of the ESS chips I've heard. Something right in the middle as far as warmth, but with an exceptional ability to pull detail without it coming across fatiguing. A little more about this network player. The Pecan PI Plus came about to compete with some of the other R2R DACs available today. The new AKM chip was able to beat out the previous PCM 1794A implementation by 3 to 6 dB in almost all measurements. What came from it is an $800 streamer, DAC, preamp, and what I have not mentioned just yet is it's also a headphone amplifier that actually offers balanced connectivity and some pretty respectable numbers. So you're getting a lot more than just a streamer here. If we were to stack this one up against something like a SMSL SU10, for example, it's a great DAC, no doubt. Loads of inputs, but something like that costs as much or more and misses out on the streaming and headphone capabilities. As for controlling this, you're going to use your phone, tablet, or PC, utilizing in my case Tidal Connect via Volumio, but other software options are available as well, paid and free. If you already have a favorite streamer of choice, that's fine as well. Lots of good competition out there, but I know for certain a lot of people who take streaming very serious also use an external DAC. Many of the Weem and Bluesound users, which I am a user of both of these, should not leave this one out of the consideration. You can order this without the streamer. The AKM chip had a great presentation, and I would have no issue suggesting this one to anyone. So who are these Orchard Audio products for? I would say really anyone who appreciates innovation and driving your speakers to their highest potential. Maybe someone who likes to jump into the new technology before it reaches the mainstream. I've really enjoyed my time, especially with this amplifier, using it with a number of combinations of streamers and different speaker pairings, and a few things always stood out to me. The control would be my number one. It seemed to have a tight grip on the speakers at all times, tight and fast bass, great dynamics across the board, really clean sound at all volume levels. Even when I pushed the volume well above what would be my normal loud listening levels, nothing gave up. It's able to just keep driving clean power, still providing the fine level of detail throughout all the different frequency ranges. I will link below the Orchard Audio site in my description. You should check it out and see what all their other offerings are as well. In fact, I think he has a pre-sale going on for a 3-channel amp that would be perfect to bring into your home theater. Another thing to mention, Orchard isn't a large corporation or anything like that. These are a boutique product. If you have a problem with it, well, you talk directly to the designer Leo, who has been responsive and great to deal with. Nothing like dealing with some of the large companies where you put in a ticket and wait and hope your issue gets resolved. As always, please consider liking and subscribing so I continue to bring in fun and interesting products to review for you. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.